Welcome to the Beyond Divorce Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
All right. Well, good day to all of you today. Jinohn is with me today on a very important topic. This is really about what is best for your child, when you're looking at best for your child, and it conflicts with kind of what you want, right? So when what you want isn't what is best for your child in a custody battle. Is that right? Did I say that correctly?
Like what's not in their best interest. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love... Best interest comes up so often because the judge could have a version of best interest, and the mom could have a version of the best interest, the dad can have a version of the best interest, and then the therapist could have a version of best interest, and the parent facilitator can have a version of best interest, and the family caseworker could have a version. So you're like, okay, wait, I don't. And I think that we're all saying best interest. I've never had someone say, I don't want what's in the best interest of the kid. I've never had someone say that.
No.
But they do define it differently, don't they?
Yes, because I have families who will use that phrase for everything.
Mm-hmm.
This is what's in the best interest. And it's just like, that's in your interest. So I think really what we're going to talk about is defining and discerning what the difference is.
Yeah, the differences, and then...
Is it your interest, really? And we're going to probably have some tough questions to ask, or self-reflecting questions.
Yeah, because I think ultimately the goal is to get to a place of what's actually best for their child, isn't it? I mean, that's really the hope there. So,
and it may not feel good. And sometimes I think if it doesn't feel good, it might be in their best interest.
Right. What do you think the emotional drivers are, Jinohn, when it comes to parents dealing with this issue of a conflict within themselves?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want conflicts with what really my child needs. What is some of the emotional drivers to that?
Some of them are hurt and anger from the relationship ending. So if it was like fresh.
Relationship with the kid, relationship with the parent?
Relationship with the parent. So a lot of this stuff is other parent driven.
Yeah.
I think. Not necessarily kid driven. Sometimes I guess it could be, but I think a lot of it is going to be more focused on the other person and the other parent or the other partner,
right,
than with the kid. And so that might be something to think about.
Absolutely.
What's the focus?
Yeah. And do you find that a lot of them are rooted in, like, it always seems like these two always come up, hurt and fear.
Mm-hmm. Fear, for sure.
Yeah. I see a lot of, I think in therapy, what you see is a lot of the lack of movement comes from two places.
Mm-hmm.
There's an unresolved hurt, or there is a fear of future, something that could happen.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I've seen parents be in a situation where what they want isn't really what the kid needs, but that conflict is beginning. What's the psychological reality here in regards to what's happening?
Well, you kind of think about just anything, like when you're in conflict or you have heightened stress or anything like that, your brain kind of switches over to like threat mode, like this person is threatening me or something like that. So, and that...
It's a perceived threat.
Yeah, it's a perceived threat.
Yep.
And so, we're not necessarily wanting to give, quote unquote, because then I'm going to lose or something like that. And so, yeah.
Oh, they get into the win-lose mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've had more attorneys and more judges and people tell me that in family law, there's not a win-lose. It's always a lose-lose.
Yeah. It really is.
There was a judge I talked to once that said, the more that you show up in the courtroom, the parents, the more that you show up in the courtroom, the less likely that your co-parenting relationship will work. It's like there's like a what do you call it? A correlation.
Mm-hmm.
So the more frequent you visit court, then the more frequent that your co-parenting relationship is dissolving.
Yeah.
So you might as well just say there's a correlate between those two things. And I understand why.
Yeah. Yeah. You're on two separate tables. You're not talking to each other. You're talking to a third party.
Mm-hmm.
And a third party, and all you're doing is just giving information negative about the other side.
Yeah. The system itself in law and family law literally looks like civil proceedings. It looks like win-lose. And it's a fight. I mean, that's what civil law is kind of based. I think family law has its roots in civil law. And so parents don't realize, like, even the legal system itself is set up that way. And you're feeding into that with this idea of win-lose, it sucks.
Yeah.
So question I'll ask is, what does best interest really look like?
So this is what I tell my kids. It's kind of fun. I think it's fun. Well, I do two different things. So some kids I will say, what kind of vegetable do you not like or do you not want to eat? Or something like that. And they'll say, like, I don't know. A lot of kids like vegetables, which is weird. I hate vegetables. So
you find kids liking vegetables? I'm impressed.
Yes. And I'm just like, well, let's pretend like you did like lima beans or something.
Let's pretend lima beans suck. Yeah.
So I say, well, lima beans are good for you. They're in your best interest to eat them. And I said, when you eat them, it doesn't feel good. But you have to eat them anyways because it's good for you.
Mine was vitamins. That's why I had to take the Flintstone ones.
Everybody in the 90s took the Flintstone.
Remember the Flintstone ones? Yeah, I went the orange one. I forget which one I liked. But no, I just remember I didn't like vitamins. And or even my kids with medicine.
Yeah.
The doctor prescribes medicine. I know it's really going to help them, deal with their symptoms. They don't want to take it. I don't like the way it tastes. I don't like I don't like that it makes me gag, or I have to drink water with it.
But it's good for you, right? It may not feel good going down. It's not going to feel good on your taste buds, but you know that it's good for you, so you do it anyways.
So best interest doesn't always align with what feels good.
Right. Ooh. Or another example, I will have mom and dad. Usually if mom and dad are in there and kiddo is in there, I say, best interest is this empty. I have an empty chair. And so I say, best interest is this empty chair. And I say, it may not be what mom wants. It may not be what dad wants. It may not be what kiddo wants, but it's what this empty chair needs. And so I say, this is what best interest is. And I say, it may not be what I want. I said, but this is what best interest is. It's this empty thing that we're having to kind of figure out what that is, but not,
right.
But nobody's sitting in that chair. Like nobody gets to get what they want, or they might.
So Jinohn, I'm going to ask you from two perspectives, as a therapist, as a parent, as a colleague, a friend. What do children need?
Well, children need stability. They need healthy relationships, emotional safety, developmental, emotional needs met. All those things is what they need. Consistent routines, minimizing disruptions, and a lot of times, that has to do with like schooling and stable schooling, and sometimes if a parent lives too far away and the kids are gonna have to get up at 4:00 in the morning, is that good for them? Is that in their best interest? So that's when it kind of comes to like predictable routines, minimizing disruptions that's what it probably is. Kids,
I remember when COVID happened and the kids never went back to school. It was spring break, actually, I think it was.
Yeah, it was spring break.
They went on spring break and they never went back. Yeah, in 2020. And I remember, I don't remember which one of my kids asked me, I think it was probably my oldest, but asked me like, Dad, are we going to be okay? And I remember they were concerned. And in reality, I didn't know. I didn't know fully I didn't know enough to know if we were going to be okay or not. I just knew that whatever happened, I was going to deal with it because we were going to have to, as a family. And I think my answer was, whether or not it's okay, we're going to make it okay. We're going to figure this out. And I think that's the thing with kids, is they need that reassurance that regardless of all the things that the kids change, the change that kids will go through, court may order something different than what you expected, it's going to be okay. We're going to find a way through it.
Find a way.
We're going to make it work. And, there's this thing with parents I've learned. Let's say a parent divorces, and the reason they divorced is because they knew that their spouse was not good for them. Their spouse was either abusive, verbally, emotionally, psychologically, whatever they want to say. That parent divorces, is able to get away. in a sense. Like I'm able to separate myself from this, but they can't separate the kids from it. The kids still have to be in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so that parent then wants to become super, uber protective, knowing that they got away. And there may be a guilt they feel associated with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think parents feel this guilt of, I was able to change my life and get away from it. My kid, I can't keep my kids from it. And so then this dynamic ensues where the parent's fighting with the courts to prevent the other parent from having a relationship with the child. And then alienation shows up, or whatever else they want to call it, or coaching and all those dynamics. And so I think parents really defining what best interest is, and the way you just described it, in the midst of the storm, you create stability. The boat still floats on top of the water, whether there's a storm or not. So the idea is you have to create stability in those changes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you have a line here. You want to read that real quick?
Yes. Best interest is not about fairness to parents. It's about developmental needs of the child.
I think this is the way this reads. Best interest is not about fairness to parents.
And that is what people want to go into court. Like, oh, that's not fair. You know, it's not fair that I have less time. It's not fair that, you know, I can't take them to school. It's not fair, you know, and it's just like, but that's not what it's about. Like, that's really not.
Yeah. So let's break this down for a second. If you say as a parent to me, I want what's in the best interest of my child, then the word fair is now removed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
The word fair has been too manipulated in our society. Okay. People use fair when they think something's unjust, but sometimes people use fair just because I want one too.
Yeah.
Right. I want that too.
Yeah.
Okay. And so people have manipulated the word. And so fair is like one of those words for me. It's like my antennas go up and I go, something, I don't know. Something's weird about that. I feel like, you know, we just want what's fair. We just want a fair deal. We just want to, okay, you make me feel a little odd when you do it that way.
Yep.
Best interest is not about fairness to parents. So what is best interest about? It is about the developmental needs of the child. Not what does the parent want.
Right.
What does the child
need?
Okay.
Correct.
There. Correct. We're there. Okay. Awesome.
Uh-huh.
So let's talk about some common situations where parents' desires are conflictual with the child's needs.
Time.
Gosh, you're so quick, Jinohn. Like, I'll tell you what it is, Michael. It's time. Okay.
Time.
Tell us more.
I want more time. I want you to have less time. Or I want equal time.
Mm-hmm. We get a lot of the...
It should be 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest. Yeah, I mean, this is maybe my own bias, if you want to call it that. You have two very healthy, stable parents. They're really good to the children, and they can make it work. They can stay in the same schools. They can play the same extracurricular activities. Why would I care about a 50-50? That's awesome, because you're both sharing the responsibility of parenting the children, and it doesn't interrupt the children's natural day-to-day process. It's when that gets interrupted, you have to go, what do these kids need? What do you want? Because we'll have parents that'll move away, but they still want, I want 50-50, but I'm going to move 50 miles away.
Yeah. And then the kid has to get up at 4:30 in the morning and go to school every day.
I don't think it's going to work.
For a week?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. Yeah,
that's in their best interest.
Is that in their best interest? But it's not fair.
But I have to have more time.
Yeah, time. And that's when the time comes up. Yeah, exactly. What are some other ones?
Let's see. Oh, using kiddos for emotional support.
Oh, tell me about that one.
Sometimes we want to, oh my gosh, this is parentification, like, obviously, right?
It's where it came from in the late 70s.
Venting about the other parent, asking questions, you know, making the kiddo feel like they need to be a confidant. So, yeah, that's, I mean, you know, that's not in their best interest, is it?
No, ma'am.
And it conflicts. So maybe I need this. I need my kiddo to be my best friend, or my 16-year-old. They just understand. They're just so mature.
We've had parents go as far as like, you know, when you go to your other parent's house, I just don't know what to do. I sit here and just think about you being over there, and all the things we can do. And the one I couldn't stand this one. I had an old case. John, I think you were around then. It was years. I know you've been with me for a while. I love that you're with us. But old case, you might even remember the family, but the kid came in. He was so sad because he had to go see his bio mom or something. I don't remember what it was. And the reason he was upset about having to go is because he heard that the family that he's not going to be with because he's got to go with the other parent, they're going to Disney.
No.
And he said they're being so selfish that he said that the other parent that was going to get the time with the kid was being selfish because if they could have went to Disney.
Gotcha.
And so I flipped it and said, well, why did your family schedule a Disney trip knowing you were going to be with the other parent? And he looked at me like, well, I don't know. I was like, don't you find that kind of odd? Why wouldn't they schedule the trip when they knew you were going to be with them? And he looked at me a little confused and thought,
I bet you was
kind of a good point. Like, wait a second. I was like, yeah, I think you're barking up the wrong tree here. That's wrong. That is a level of putting the emotional burden on the child.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I know you got to go see your other parent this weekend or for the next week or whatever, maybe, because I don't know if it was like one of those extended stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish you can go, but but don't worry, we'll take a lot of pictures and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna go to Disney while you're with the other parent here.
Yeah,
that's so wrong.
Yeah,
I saw that once. I did. I think you were around it. It was the old office. So, oh man, that's crazy. All right, so yeah, parentifying the kid. We've had a segment on that.
Mm-hmm.
An emotional burden on the child. This is one. The next part of this segment is really important because this is this winning piece.
Oh yeah, winning.
What is it when we say winning? What is that?
Winning.
What is it about parents wanting to win?
I mean, that's how court is set up, right? Like,
yeah, we just talked about
in general. Yeah. You said this from civil. Civil, either you win or you lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Family law is built off civil proceedings.
Yeah. And so winning is I get what I want, regardless of anything, right?
Mm-hmm. I came to get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And doing it by any means necessary, right? So we're over documenting the other parent. So I'm dropping them up and I'm recording and
camera in the face, their phone up,
and I'm coaching this kid because I need them to say, negative about the other parent.
Yeah, you need to tell the truth when you go into the counselor's office. Tell them what happened. If you don't tell them, then nothing's going to change. You need to tell.
You won't be able to stay with me, or you'll have to go to the other parent's house.
Oh, you'll have to go.
You'll have to go. You'll have to start visits again if you don't tell them everything.
Those poor kids.
Yes, I know. That's how we win a case. Right.
But those are the
we resolve family dynamics.
The method of I want to win. Let me ask you this: when it gets discovered that that's what they're doing to win, what happens? Have you seen the outcomes of that?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of different outcomes, but I think go ahead. The most wild one, I guess. I don't know what I was supposed to say. Is just completely flipping custody.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what, and I've seen it.
Me too.
And I was just like, whoa.
Shocked.
But I will say, part of me was shocked and part of me was not. Because I'm just like, well, I mean.
What'd you expect? Well,
have done that.
When there's chronic stress, I noticed here, chronic stress on the child, or the child feels like they're being used as evidence.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can see some dynamic shift pretty quick.
Because I've had kids say, I know that I have to record. I
know I have to record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to record for their parent. And it's not necessarily like, I have to record to build evidence, but it's like, this is what parent A wants me to do, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's these poor kids. Yeah. You guys don't have to do this to these children.
You don't have to.
You really don't. They don't need you to win. They need you to cooperate.
Ooh, yes.
Okay, did I say it right? Some of y'all need to collaborate and listen.
Mm-hmm.
Isis Brack with a... No, I'm kidding. I'm going to leave that out. That was that's a lyric.
Oh.
It's a lyric. You don't remember Ice Baby? Collaborate and listen.
Yes, but if you ever heard me sing songs in the 90s, you'd be like, you're speaking a different language, because I would go gibberish because I didn't understand the words they were saying.
I'm sorry. I won't sing. I keep singing on these podcasts. I'll try not to sing. Okay.
I would just probably stare at you and be like, huh?
Exactly. What?
That was the words?
So, yeah, they need to collaborate and listen, right? They need to work together. Hey, if you're listening right now, I want you to take a deep breath. I know this is hard. Maybe your child is pulling away, saying things that sting, or seems caught in the middle of conflict, and it's leaving you feeling helpless and frustrated. You're not alone, and it's not your fault. That's exactly why I created the Countering Alienation course. It's a practical step-by-step program to help you recognize alienating behaviors, respond in a way that protects your relationship, and rebuild the trust with your child, even when it feels impossible. This is not about fighting your co-parent. It's about keeping your connection strong, staying grounded, and giving your child the stability and love they need. You deserve tools and guidance that you can actually use, and your child deserves the relationship only you can give. Check out the registration link in the show notes. This is the right move. You got this. Okay, so let's go to segment 4 here. Questions that parents should be asking themselves.
Okay, so I will go through these questions. We will have those questions in the bio. Is that what they call it? The show notes. There it is. We'll put them in the show notes so you can go through them again. All right, question number 1. Am I reacting to my ex or responding to my child's needs?
Question 1.
Yes.
Just repeat it for them.
Oh.
Question 1. Quick question 1. We'll tell them twice in case they decide to write these down.
Oh, they're going to be in the bio. Show notes.
Okay. They're in the show notes. Okay.
All right. If my child were an adult looking back on this, what would they wish I had done? That's a good one. Is this decision about my pain or my child's stability?
That one takes an honest answer.
Oh. Am I escalating something that could be tolerated?
What does that mean?
Oh my gosh. We can't explain.
I know we can't. That's a good
I want to explain it too, but
not explaining. These are your questions. You're right.
What outcome will help my child feel safe with both parents? I really like number 4, you guys. I really, really do, because there's so many cases. There's so many cases that things should just be tolerated, or we could have just a conversation, but we escalate them and we spend thousands of dollars. And oh my gosh, okay. So, anyways, nope. Segment 5.
Nope. You were going, Jinohn. You're going. I'll just say the best way to think of this is taking a molehill and making a mountain. Okay, that's the only way I can describe that. But really answer that question.
Really answer that one.
Number 4. Number 5 is phenomenal.
It's good.
And because it's inclusive. So I like that. Okay. So there's your questions to keep in mind, consider.
Yes.
And there's this thing you said before we started this segment, and it was kind of an interesting way you said it. You talked about good enough parenting.
Yeah.
Not perfect parenting, not perfect collaboration, but good enough. What does that mean?
Good enough co-parenting is just like, can we align or agree on some things? Can we cooperate and be functional?
There you go. Yeah. What's the term here? Functional cooperation.
Cooperation is the term. Can we function? Yes.
Yeah.
That's good enough.
Yeah. We're going to put the funk into function. Yeah.
The fun into function, right?
Darn it. I was trying to say something funk. I like music. But okay. Yeah. The fun in functional cooperation. Co-op. To work together, right? Functionally. And, if someone thinks that their cooperation is dysfunctional, they got to go back and go, which part have I created that has exacerbated the dysfunction? Like, I had a person ask, so I had an individual session with a parent, and they were so adamant about wanting to work with the other side. Like, I want to work with the co-parent. They're good people, all these things. And but they know that they can sense the hesitation to work with them because they have a history, right? Like, I have a history with them. I've messed up, and I get the sense they don't want to work with me. And I said, well, instead of asking a question like, what would it take for you to work with me? Or what are you completely afraid will happen if you do decide to work with me?
That's a good question. Hold on. So I'm going to do a silent session with the parent.
Yeah. What are you afraid will happen if you choose to decide to work with me? Or you can say when you choose to decide to work with me.
When is a good one.
Yeah. When is better because it presupposes. So I think the goal of that is, as I said, you want to speak to the thing that's withholding it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Not just the thing. I mean, the question's great. Like, what would it take? That's a question I would ask. But when you know that there's a history and there's that hesitation,
Right.
and I think in functional cooperation is speaking to the thing that is dysfunctionally causing the lack of cooperation. Speak to that. Go, hey, remember, there's two things we said. It's the past hurt and the fear.
Fear.
Speak to them. So the fear is, that's that question I just gave you.
Yes.
What would it be a past hurt question? Can you develop?
No.
You won't even try it. You're like, nope, not developing one. I'm trying to think of a way you ask a past hurt question. Oh, I got one. What have you still not forgiven me for?
Wow. And you know what? I think I asked that question to one of the parents too.
I have a feeling you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you still not forgiven me for? Or you could even say, what are you afraid to forgive me for?
And then that would kind of lead into
both. Forgiveness is assuming that something got hurt. And then you're also including the fear of. So you're including both fear and past hurt. Oh, that's good. Ooh, see there? I just gave you some stuff. All right. Have fun with that. All right. So picking the right battles.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Well, you can ask yourself, does this affect my child's safety? Because safety is important.
Yep.
Right?
Safety is important.
I always say, or you always say, and I steal it.
Oh, jeez. What's that?
You know, if there's a safety thing, then you act right away. You know, it's not necessarily, sit back, tolerate. It's not something to tolerate, right? Like,
ooh, I love that. That's not tolerable. Safety is
that's not tolerable.
Okay.
You can escalate that. Safety. Real safety stuff.
Well, yeah, there's perceived safety.
And then what is safety? Oh my gosh, we got to go through all that. No, I don't think we do.
No, I'll just use the example I've used with people. I said, hey, look, if you put your kid in a car, can you prevent an accident? Yes. Not every time you can. But what you do to preserve the idea that if we are to get in an accident, how can I protect you? You have a seatbelt on. You put them in a car seat. You put them in a certain section in the car, maybe in the middle, I don't know, wherever you think they'll be most safe. You take certain precautions to ensure they're safe. And that's because there's a perceived danger.
Right.
There may not be one. We know car accidents happen, but that's not the goal here. No parents come in here going, oh, I can't wait to get my kid back on my time so I can just beat the crap out of them.
Right.
I don't know most parents that are doing that. I'm not saying a parent wouldn't do that. I'm saying that most parents are not asking for more time with their kids so they can just abuse them. No, I haven't seen that.
Okay.
At least up to this point, I haven't seen that. Okay. Let's talk about some things that you would like the parents to hear or things you think they need to hear.
Yes. That your child is half of the other parent. And I think a lot of people don't realize that or even know. I don't know. Because they'll talk about the other parent negatively, but it's like you're talking about half of your child, you know?
I think I asked a parent the other day, I said, how much do you love this kid? Oh, I love him a lot. Like how much though? Like it's not even quantifiable, you know? But here's the thing. The reason you get to love that kid is because that other person chose to help you have them. They're half responsible for the fact that so I can't fathom you loving the kid and hating the parent. It doesn't make sense in my brain because the thing you love most came from this person that you now hate. And that hate is you. I'm sorry, but hate comes from a place inside yourself, not of them. They may have done things that have put you in a position to want to hate them, but that hate is really coming from inside of you. Hate comes from the heart.
I mean, you choose the emotions that you feel about other people. And
you think so?
Yeah.
I think people would disagree with you on that. I would love to.
They are. They do. Like when you say, you made me mad, it's like nobody can make you mad.
You choose to hold it.
Yeah. I mean, I give a crazy example.
But if they wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't have been mad.
Yeah. But I'm just like, I give a crazy example. I was like, you know, Stephanie could slap you and you could laugh about it, or Stephanie could slap me. I could be mad about it. Like we choose how we're gonna feel about it.
That's a good point. I probably would be mad about it at first, but yeah, I mean, I could smile about it later, maybe.
I'm just saying, like, you know, whatever.
Exactly. So remembering, your child is half the other parent.
Yes. Children usually want peace more than victory. How many times do we say, scale of 1 to 10, how much or how bad do you want this just to be over? And they just, to 10, I want it to be over. Who cares about what winning? Who cares what it is? I just want it to be over.
Since we don't get, I think I've asked a question like this, since we don't get to choose the outcome of what happens with your parents, divorce, whatever else, what difference would it make for you if you knew they just had peace, regardless of the outcome?
Right.
And you're right. The way they answer that, man, and I think I should probably just put the parents in the room and just say, I just want you to hear the questions I'm about to ask your kid. I don't want you to say a word.
Yeah.
And I just go with the kid, let the kid answer. Both parents just get to hear what I'm about to hear because it's just true. They would rather that than concern themselves with outcome. Oh, interesting. Okay. Anything else?
The conflict itself harms children more than a divorce. You can divorce, and that is painful, but the conflict is what's lasting. The conflict lasts so much more within a child.
I want this somewhere.
Than actual divorce.
What you just said, I want that plastered somewhere. I don't even know if I want to put it on my website. The conflict itself often harms children more than the divorce.
Because some people are like, oh, I saw it coming. Yeah. I saw it coming.
Right. So to close up, how do we help our children come through this healthily?
Biggest thing is, that's the question. So
yeah, that's my question. My question is,
no, that's the question that
we have listed here.
Himself.
Yeah, how do I help my child come through this healthily? That's what a parent should be asking themselves. So if a parent who's listening asks themselves, how do I help my child come through this healthily?
Right. Instead of how do I win this
yeah.
case?
Ooh, yeah. Very different question. Okay. So how do you help your children come through this healthily? Get rid of winning. How do you help them come through this healthily?
That's your question.
That is there.
All right. Last key takeaway. The strongest parents in custody disputes are the ones who can put their child's emotional health above their own hurt.
Can I say that one?
It's not who can win. Yes, Michael, go ahead.
Oh, I got to say it, though, because listen to this.
Go ahead.
The parents who put their child's emotional health above their own hurt. How do you suppose that child will remember that parent someday when they're independent of them?
It's a gift. It really is. You think about it, like all the things that we said, the conflict, is more lasting, it's more harmful. And so, kids are going to be like, yeah, my parents had a divorce, but it was like they split and they, they're cool with each other or they're good enough or whatever it is.
That's right.
And they don't have to deal with 10 years of going in and out of court or any of that stuff or hearing their parents fight or, any of that.
I think that kids, when they grow up and they look back at their childhood, they see it very differently because they're independent of it now. And then what they end up doing is they end up realizing the pain that one of their parents is. I had a conversation with my cousin about this morning. We kind of realized the pain that our own parents went through as children, and you kind of have a different appreciation for them, but you start to understand them in a very different way. And for those parents that put their children's emotional health above their hurt, the child always walks away in the future knowing they were loved. Because how can a person put someone else before their own pain? The only way you do that is if you love them.
Yes.
Makes sense? I don't know how you do that without love. And so that child remembers, you love me. You loved me because I knew you were hurting, but it wasn't about your hurt. It was about my needs. You did not like going up to my dad's girlfriend at my baseball game and saying hello to her. I know you didn't, or I know that dad didn't like shaking stepdad's hand at the baseball game, but y'all did that for me.
Right.
You shook his hand for me. You went and talked to the girlfriend for me. You sat in proximity of each other at the game, knowing that y'all really didn't want to be around each other, but you did that. So when I looked in the stands, I can see my family in one area because it was for me. It was my baseball game. It wasn't your baseball game. And that's what kids are actually trying to say to you. If I can't say that any clearer. Did I say that clear enough?
I think it was really clear.
Okay, I think it was clear. You got to make these kids know you love them. And love, you know what love looks like? Love looks like someone on the cross. Jesus didn't deserve what he did, but he did it because he loved you. Because if he hated you, he never would have done it. You need to get rid of that hate. That hate is killing you guys. It's killing. I'm telling our listeners, you guys harness that hate and you house it and you hold it. And I'm not saying you're not going to get hurt again. You're going to be vulnerable and you're going to give wiggle room to your co-parent or whatever, or things with your kid, and you're going to get hurt. I'm just going to tell you that now. It's going to happen because you're human. You have feelings too, and you want to be validated and seen. But in the end, it's not what happened to you or is happening to you, is what does your child need? Period. I can't say it any clearer than that. If you can just focus on that, I promise you the outcome in the future is more than you can ever imagine, more than I can even probably explain. So thank you, listeners, for being here. I hope it wasn't too heavy. I don't want people like tearing up in the car and driving like I'm about to wreck because I can't see. My eyes are full of water.
I think you just brought them all to Jesus at the end. So
I'll bring them to Jesus. Hey, I'll tell you something. Jesus is the everything. I'm just going to say it now. We love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thanks, Jinohn. What a good topic. It was a great one.
Yeah, I liked it.
I liked it too. Keep moving forward, everyone. And until next time.